What are we doing, Scruffy? Hi, Ash. Ash came home last night and spent the night. I think it was a nasty evening out, lots of rain, and then when we woke up, went outside and checked the grounds, we noticed we'd had a bear visitor. A large black bear had come through the yard last night and left us a present. Occasionally we get bears. We're in a rural area near some national forests, so they will wander through. This used to be their area, and it's been upgraded recently with highways and progress. So it's one of the reasons I like to try and help the squirrels, because a lot of their environment has been removed recently in the last, well, we've been here almost a decade, and it looks nothing like it did. So we like giving them a place to be safe off the main roads. Their biggest predator is hawks. We don't have a lot of wild cats out here. It's not a good idea to leave your cat out in the evenings, because we do have coyotes occasionally wander through between forests. So last night we had a bear. They come through and they'll toss the trash can occasionally, rooting through for something good, but they're not very carnivorous here. Saying not very carnivorous is that they are mostly vegetarian bears in our area. Not to say that they wouldn't attack you, especially if they're our mama or you surprise them or something. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were meat eaters. But the main things here, they're after vegetation, berries, and so I'm sure coming through the yard they find the stuff the squirrels eat at night. And they find the leftovers of seeds and vegetables and water source. Plus, if you've seen our other videos, our fence is not very secure. I call it a summer fence, because not all the slats are there. Some are here, some are there. But this is Ash. She is over 6 months old, I would say now. Still comes home every day for a snack. Has been lately coming home at night due to storms. Hasn't been getting very cold here, so if it's not a stormy night, she's in the trees. Eventually she'll start building up nests as we get into the spring weather. She'll eventually get her own place, make it waterproof, and start having kits. That's right. Baby squirrels are called kits. And she will be mature enough to have babies at about a year. 10 months really, but I don't think they actually start really mating until a year. They're, that's full maturity for having babies, but of course there's always early, late. I'm sure there have been several that were earlier. Got a couple of girls out in the trees, and these young ladies are 3, 4, and 5 years old, somewhat like that, and have had at least two sets of kits already. I think Peanut has had 3. We've had a lot of our releases have babies. They've never brought anyone home. No one's ever been brought home to meet Grandpa. But we can dream. And I know they have kits, of course, because when they come around and they're pregnant, they look like little water balloons, and then after they have babies, they start showing signs of nursing. And that kind of keeps me updated on what's going on in their lives. Here, just down for the count. Look at that little chicken leg back there. So we try to help keep the squirrel numbers up, because I know they have been more or less decimated out on 46, the main road there. When we first moved here, that was a 2-lane road that you couldn't see anything in at night except the headlights. And now there is an toll road. There is an updated version of the old road. The side areas have all been cleaned out so that they can start building out this way. That's one of the reasons we moved out this way, is that civilization was getting really compact where we lived, and the roads were almost impassable. So we came out here and found that wildlife really runs the place. And we've had deer out here, we've had everything. The golf course gets what they call jaguarundi. I don't even know what it is. I mean, I know what it is, but I would have thought that was something in the central other continent of somewhere. I think we've deflated a squirrel. Apologies, I thought we were going to pet a squirrel, and now we have a deflated furry balloon. Oh, what was that? I know, I was just kidding. I'm not being... She heard a squirrel out there calling. Doesn't seem like it's a priority call, though. I think that other leg would have moved by now. It's not trapped or pinned or anything. She just slung it over the side. Kind of throwing one leg out of the covers for thermostat. I didn't mean for this to be this long, but as long as she's in it and you're in it, I'm in it. Oh, thank you. One of our friends, Coder, mentioned to me that they are finding a way to get support. I know, get tongue-tied. Finding a way to get some support. So I went ahead and on the main page of our channel, I updated it to reflect our PayPal, our Amazon wish list, as well as a place called Henry's Healthy Pets, which is the provider of those nutrition blocks that we feed everybody. And that's where we get them. That's the best food source for our squirrels here. Once they get off of formula, they get on those blocks. And sort of like Scotch tape and rollerblades, Henry's blocks has become a generic name for protein blocks. But at least everyone I know uses the actual Henry's blocks. I've tried making them here, homemade blocks. There are recipes. But I've never found that ones I make are edible to the squirrels. I mean, I've tried them, they're all natural. And it eats like a protein bar. And I can't really tell the difference between the professional ones and the ones I eat, but apparently there's something missing on mine. Because every time I make a batch, it gets put to the yard. Uh-oh, what's the raven saying? What's the news? We have a whole alert system here. The ravens and the squirrels work in conjunction to tell everyone where something is, whether it's a dog or a hawk, or we had a lot of hawk activity yesterday and this morning. You're just fixated, aren't you? And this is why we come home. For the beauty treatment. Every day she comes in, she gets a once-over, making sure, you know, all 8 toes up front and 10 in the back are still there, her tail is still healthy, her coat looks good, no bugs or fleas. They do get flea treatments, which I need to pick up. We use Revolution. And if you can, it can be applied directly, just at a smaller amount, obviously. If you can't, where they're wild ones, and if I were to grab her and try to put something on the back of her neck, I'll get bit. They don't like to be restrained unless they want to be restrained. Like if she balled up in my hand right now, I could close both fists and she would fall asleep, likely. But if I try to restrain them, wild animals will bite. I can do certain checkups on them and they're okay with it. It's just that they don't like that drip on the back of their neck, like your cat hates it, your dog hates it. So we use an alternative method of distributing flea meds, and I'm hesitant to recommend because every time I say it, even squirrel people are like, you would. So, anyway, if you're interested in have a squirrel or you need to know, just send me a message. I'll let you know. Alright, now we have finished the hanging out portion of our show, and we have become a pillow. Oh, and hands up. There we go, hands up, at the armpits. There we go, that's the beautifulest place in the world, right there. Rub the ear, rub the jaw, rub the pits. Oh, it's squirrel heaven. I hear you chewing down there. Dot and Dash are wanting to get out. So it's our time to run. Sissy's home. Oh my goodness. I think we broke it. You okay? That's why we're home. You hear that? Let's get that out the way. There's a hawk out there. And we don't like hawks. So we come find home when we can. You are out for the count. Oh yeah, I mentioned earlier that we were talking about, I guess on my main page, there's, like I said, PayPal, Amazon, and Henry's. And I want to thank Coder for suggesting that I put something up. You gotta get your tail out the way, otherwise it's gonna get kinked like a hose. Am I supposed to rub it now? It's a good old-fashioned tail rub. I should have done this live. I didn't realize we would be this long, which is cool. I think this is awesome. Try not to mush her tail. Saw one of our longtime mamas that's a fib, yesterday afternoon for snacks. One of our first squirrels that got injured, her name is Kiki. She came here and was released. She grew 4.5 months old and she was released to the outside. About 2 months in, she got an injury to, I would say, about that much of her tail. She injured it, came directly home. I mean, I would say right after it happened because it was still pretty fresh. And she let me put water, she let me clean it off with water, put some Neosporin on it. And in part of our, what I call the enclosure inside there where the triplets stay, I have what I call the tower, which is a room inside the room. And so Kiki spent 2 weeks in there. I wanted to make sure she didn't get any dirt in it, because if I'd have let her go right away with Neosporin on it, everything she brushed against would have clung to it, gotten nasty, infected, the whole 9 yards. So kept her home, put her in that for 2 weeks, and with antibiotics, it did what it was supposed to do. She lost about that much of her tail. And it still works fine. Now, shoot, that was years ago. So anyway, she was fine, has had babies since. The tail works wonderfully, even short, like a bobtail. And she uses it perfectly for balance. She's well adjusted and fine. Anyway, I hadn't seen her in a while, so yesterday afternoon when I was out there giving snacks, she finally came up. But since she's a mama, she probably just had brand new kits. So we get those that we release. They come back for years. They're self-sufficient. They live in the trees. They have their own food sources, but they'll come back for snacks. We do snacks twice a day. and most of them will show up. So I can kind of do a head count, a health check, even if they won't shoulder mount anymore. At a glance, you can tell after a while. So yeah, I wish I would have done this live. That way I could have answered some questions while Sleepiness here was having her rub down. I think I saw while I was changing the YouTube page, we're up to, I think we're at 1,400 people, which is very cool. Pardon me. Yeah, I think that's very cool that so many people have found they get a kick out of watching squirrels. And maybe even learn a little something. And one day you're gonna grow up and have little bitty kits of your own. You know what? You're supposed to bring them to Grandpa. That's the rule. I will give you treats every day. Just bring the babies to Grandpa to say hi. There's plenty of room back here. If you need a place to stay, we can get babies everywhere, give them their own little places to learn how to be squirrels. What do you think? I don't think you're even listening to me. I think you are in another zone. If I do get the opportunity to come back as anything in another life, I would like to become a squirrel that lives on my porch. Because if this is what my day will consist of, squirrel me right up. I appreciate y'all's comments too. They're getting to be more frequent now, which is cool because I'm trying to stay on it and at least acknowledge and appreciate everybody spending the time to watch and maybe share a smile. But we've been getting more comments and questions, so that's great. Don't know a lot, but I know about these little ones to a certain extent. We've been doing this for, I would say, 8 years. Yeah, late 20, now 7 years. Either or. Okay, I won't mess with the tail. It's okay. I'm sorry. You can have it. You're about ready to put me to sleep. So relaxed. We're so relaxed, I'm gonna go to sleep myself. We're both gonna fall right over. Everything out of the way, I don't want to pinch nothing. Let's get, don't step on your tail. I don't give up because I don't get this opportunity a lot. She's the most consistent. Every night before bedtime, she'll come in for one of these, and then every few days we'll get to do this too. And Peekaboo is less frequent at that. Fett, I think I get to do this with him once or twice a year. He'll just show me a sign or two that he's ready to cuddle, and we'll sit here for 20 minutes and do this with him too. Leia and Solo, not so much. Dot and Dash will let me before bedtime. So at bedtime, I have Ash, Peekaboo, Dot, and Dash to give goodnight rubs to. I tuck all the babies in. And that's after I bring the triplets in and put them to bed. that's what, seven dwarfs go to bed. Three of them are literally dwarves. The triplets have a challenging, they have a lot of challenges because they were born with a version of dwarfism, which foreshortened their limbs and their muzzles especially, but everything is short on them. But it's weird because they're not, height-wise, they're not the same as other dwarves. Other dwarves I've seen, or usually other dwarf squirrels, are short and just round. And the triplets, Leia and Solo, are long and round. And Fett, depending on the time of year, is just, he's full-size squirrel. He's the most that I think, if it ever, if it had turned out that they needed to be in the wild, I don't think Leia and Solo would have had an opportunity to last very long. But I kind of think Fett, seeing him now, I think that he is the most capable of the three. He can stand and hold food with his front paws sometimes, whereas Leia and Solo usually can't, unless it's a wide piece of vegetable or something. So with the shortening of their limbs, it makes it really challenging, and then their front paws don't come forward like these. Oh, is this what's happening now? Okay. Don't you worry. Now we just do the belly. Did you see that flop and roll? Hold on, we'll do this one too. There we go. I have no idea what I was saying. Anyway, yeah, their paws aren't forward. Their front paws aren't forward. They're out to the side. And so that makes everything from climbing to eating to running. Leia's got a little motor scooter in there. She snuck out the door years ago and was across the yard and up a tree faster than I think anything I've ever seen move. So she can do it, but it was a challenge when I watched her come down and come back home. She couldn't get the front paws in the right direction for coming down rapidly. So evading other squirrels and predators would have been the ultimate challenge for those two. But fast is not an issue. Speed is not an issue. Oh, we're just going right over here, huh? Alright. We just lay on her back and be rubbed and loved. I actually thought she was going to break camp, but I didn't realize she was going to flip over, and I'm doing both arms now. And that face is so adorable looking up at me. You're so sweet. Such a sweet little girl. I called you Princess Ash, but then Leia would have got mad. But you can't. Oh, I guess you can have two princesses. She could be Queen Leia. You could be Princess Ash. I think you're going to be out for the count soon. Everything cool? Your tail in the right place? Alright. See, some things I've said before. In spite of what you see now, when a squirrel wants to bite you, they have more pounds per square inch in bite pressure than most animals anywhere. I always relate to a gator because we're from Florida and we have alligators everywhere. And when I tell people that a squirrel's bite force is stronger than an alligator, they usually think I'm full of baloney, which I often am. I have no doubt about that, but that I know about. It's just that a gator has a couple of feet worth of bite radius and endless sharp teeth. A squirrel has two top, two bottom incisors and about a quarter of an inch in bite radius at the front. They do have molars to crush things in the back. That's how Peekaboo is able to eat. Peekaboo, our other squirrel, has all of her front teeth missing. And when the doctor years ago told me she had to have her front teeth removed, I thought, how in the world is she going to eat? Because I thought that's all her teeth. Nope, they got 20-something molars in the back just like we do. So I just have to cut Peekaboo's food up small enough that she can ground it with her back teeth, because she can't crack anything open without front teeth. And anything that is too large to get back there, she has a hard time getting the leverage to crush it. So most of her food is the size of, say you go to a fast food place and you get a sundae, a little cup sundae, and they ask you if you want peanuts. The peanuts in that little bag is about the size of Peekaboo's food, on average. It just needs to be small dice. And now Peekaboo is 4 years old. She might be 5. I get them confused. I know the triplets are going to be 6 years old next month. And I'm thinking of having a birthday party. We had one last year. I know, silly. And the last thing I'd ever realized that I would be one of those folks who, oh, I have animals and their birthday's coming up. Let's have a party. We don't have a party, but we do share some things on Facebook and YouTube. And because a lot of folks have enjoyed our journey, and they've been with us for years. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Every time I just open my mouth, something foolish comes out, I'm sure. I'm just trying to stall for time while you look so peaceful. So beautifully peaceful, squirrely. I'm gonna take a chance and see if we can get closer without making any kind of weird noise. Block the sun. There we go, that's a little better. I think her eyes are open, but she's not here. And she isn't here right now. I think this is what they call torpor, T-O-R-P-O-R. And it's sort of a hypnotic state, kind of like that twilight where you're asleep but you're not really out. If something happened, she'd be up and on her feet in half a second, but our squirrels here don't hibernate per se, but they do this. Reserve energy, stay out of the heat, yet keep themselves warm. Oh, that eye's closed. This eye she's watching me with one eye open. Gripping your squirrely tight. There you go. Here's some heavy metal for you. I have some squirrely metal. I cannot believe you are out like this. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a bad squirrely dream? He's okay. He's okay. They do dream. I hear the triplets at night. They sleep in the same room I do. I hear the triplets at night whistling and chirping and calling out. And all of a sudden, in the middle of it, you'll hear, in the middle of the night, pitch black, you'll hear a really sharp chirp. I didn't want to make her jump, but a really loud chirp. And then you'll hear some trilling, and something sounds like feet scurrying, and then nothing for hours. Same thing out here. If I'm out here in the middle of the night and we have, babies like Dot and Dash, they'll be just completely in their nest asleep, but you hear little, squirrely noises coming out. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a nap. Oh, I'm sorry, I think you've already started without me. But you're so precious. Precious and sweet. I'm trying to write some kids' books, or kids' stories. I can't say books because I don't know what they'll be. But we have years of adventures here to share, and I'm trying to find a good angle. Good angle for my granddaughters to enjoy. Any grandbabies that would like stuff at that age, learning to count, identifying things. Peekaboo's case, overcoming injuries. We've seen it all. We just need to figure out the voice.
So right. So snap out of it, Dad.
And for those of you just joining us, like this is like, those of you just joining us, she's fine. She is a precious sleeping squirrel that I cannot believe I got to fall out. Completely on her back. Nothing covering her belly. Except my hands, just out. This ear on this side is bent over, lopsided. She just doesn't care how she fell asleep. I'm out. Should have brought notes.
Don't worry. We'll figure it out.
So we started doing this in 2017 when Hurricane Irma came through and knocked several trees down in our area, one of which blocked the road, blocked our little dirt road in and out of here, and a couple of other trees in the front were half gone. In one of them, we found a baby squirrel. His name turned out to be Brisby. He was about 4 weeks old because his eyes weren't open yet, but he had fur. And eastern gray squirrels, baby squirrels, the kits, usually open their eyes at about 5 weeks. Some are early, some are late, but either way, that's the average. So his eyes weren't open yet. I didn't see a mama because the tree he came down at the base of what he was at, he didn't have anywhere to return to, and Mom was long gone. And I've learned since that the best thing to do, if you can, is to reunite them with the mom. And if you find a baby and look up and there's a squirrel pacing, losing her mind, back and forth, watching and chittering at you and stuff, likely that's her baby you found. And if you just leave it at the base of a tree, so long as it's safe, Mama will come get it. Now, in rare instances, other squirrels will adopt an orphan baby, but that's rare, and it only makes common sense because they would not want to share the resources of their own babies with the baby that's not going to continue their DNA. But there have been cases. I just don't know if it's worth the risk. But if you do see Mommy bouncing around above where a baby fell out, see if you can find a box, a little short-edged box that a baby can't crawl out of. Put some bedding in there. Make sure it's warm. And Mom will come get it. So we found Brisby in a pile of leaves and weren't sure what to do. Our road was blocked. All the roads around here were washed out, blocked. No power for 6 days. So that means no internet, no resources, nowhere we could go because they didn't get the city out here in time, to the point where we ended up just gathering chainsaws locally and had at it ourselves. And then a group of folks were driving around with a very large winched truck and were hauling things out the way for everybody. So we finally got out, but no power, couldn't get any resources on what to do with a baby squirrel. Finally we did. I mean, we just kept it hydrated and thought what would make sense for a squirrel to eat. And he was too young to have nuts, thank goodness, because nuts are not a big part of their diet. I mean, they are a part of it, and if you give a squirrel so many nuts they can't, eat anything else, that's what they'll do, and that is not healthy.
Anyway, so kept him hydrated. I think we ended up using a strained grit, like grits mixture. We had powdered grits here. Yes, I know people from the South are going to say blasphemy. But we had instant grits here that we watered down and strained through so that he could get some of the, components of it without having to chew anything. And it seemed to work. I mean, he was going potty fine. He was eating fine and lapping it up like a champ. And then we finally got online, and there's a squirrel community out there that I had no idea. Of course, like everything else, there's a community for everything. And thank goodness they found us when I started posting pictures, because they reached out, several people, but one in particular reached out and was the only one that was not sort of antagonistic about it, because sometimes you'll find squirrel people that are like, just, I know best, this is what you do. And yeah, they may know stuff, but every situation is going to be unique. So first person that reached reasonably out to us taught us what to do, where to get everything, how to do it, and almost 8 years later and 60-something squirrels down the road, I'll be forever grateful to her. Right? Because now we can do these. Just like we did with Frisbee. I wish your sister would let me do this, but your sister doesn't want anything to do with home. She was raised with another squirrel named Cinder. So there's Cinder and Ash. And Cinder was fine living here the whole 9 yards, but like all kids, there are some teens that when you let them go, they're going to run far and wide. So Cinder spent about 2 more nights here after release and snack times, and then she was gone. She comes back for snack times, but no more sleeping in here, no more hanging out with Dad. She'll shoulder mount once in a great while. But I see her playing with her, Cinder playing with Ash once in a while, so they're still friends. But some squirrels will just, the minute they get that instant taste of freedom, they're just going with it, which I love. I just hope that they're acclimated enough, which they usually are. I give them a lot of opportunity here to learn to jump and play and dig and construct. The whole back porch is their realm, and we've continued to evolve it so that they can learn so many of the skills back here and still be exposed to the wildlife they're going to be a part of with the screens behind us. Those are what's called hardware cloth. Don't know why, because it's not cloth. It's basically really good chicken wire with a smaller grid. So we lined the porch with that after our first year, realizing that squirrels can chew through screens real easy, especially if they're well motivated. So after Brisbee, we got some wonderful donations and support and gathered up that hardware cloth to line the whole thing with, so we don't have any escapes, we don't have any accidents, we don't have any mixtures of squirrels that shouldn't be together. You don't want outside squirrels being with inside squirrels before they're acclimated. Now we start the face mush. We have done the back, we've done the shoulders, we've done the ears, we've certainly done the belly, and now for the coup de grace. Yes, I know, coup de grace. We begin the face mush. This simulates their mother grooming their faces. And if it continues on, she'll eventually open her mouth and start drooling all over me, letting me rub her back gums and her cheeks. And it's a comforting feeling. And I've been doing this to them since they first started nursing with formula and syringes. Right after we're done, first thing I do when I feed them is make sure they go potty. They were just so cute right here. Man, I wish I had a way to take pictures like this. Look at that, 1 foot up, adorable, in the pose of a lifetime. Alright, is it legs time? It's leg day? Okay, we do legs. We do this one leg now. It's leg day. Never forget leg day. You don't want to look like a lollipop or a popsicle. You gotta make sure you're well proportioned out there so you can run and jump and fly. Oh yes, you do leg day every day. Again, this is all grooming simulation that we've been doing since before they got fur. Sometimes I'll use baby brushes, combs, a variety of things to sort of agitate the fur to simulate mom picking at it and grooming them. This angle lets me look for fleas, it lets me look for any body injuries. It's perfect. But I don't get this angle very much, so I get to explore everything while we're here. Sorry, are we back to the face mush? Okay, let's go back to the face mush. You're a drooly mess, you know that? We're gonna have to hose you off later. Daddy too. I just sort of pick at their hair a little bit, just to simulate mom's teeth going through their fur. And this promotes them changing their coats at different seasons. It's important with Peekaboo, who, as I've said, has not got any front teeth. Those are the teeth that she uses as combs to go through all of her fur and grind it through, drag it through her teeth to make sure there's nothing stuck on there, little microbes or bugs or hitchhikers from any grassy area. She can't do that very well, so I am always grooming Peekaboo like this, as much as I can. She doesn't let me get the stomach availability as much as I would like to, but once in a while. And she still lets me use a comb. Yes, she does. You are the spoiledest squirrel I have ever seen. Well, today. The most spoiledest of ever.
If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully if you fell asleep, it was for the right reason, relaxing, not for, oh my goodness, this guy ever shut up? I'm making an attempt to be more conversational and informational and entertainmentational. Yes, I just, of course, made that word up because it doesn't work.
Can I see the leg? Can I see a chicken leg? Thank you. Since a chicken leg, gotta do the inside, gotta do the outside.
So what do you do if you find a baby squirrel? Well, one, if you don't know anything about them, first thing is check the environment, see if mom's going bananas above, and then try to reunite. Only if it's safe, not in cold weather, not in blazing Florida summer weather. They've got to be, well, before they get fur, they can't regulate their body temperatures. So first priority is always warm, even if it seems like it's overly hot. Just keep them bundled. Then try to find a rehabber. We are everywhere. In most countries, continents. If you're watching in the UK, I know people. If you're watching anywhere, I know people. Or I know people who can help you get that squirrel to somebody. The problem that becomes of holding a squirrel when you don't really have the experience or idea is it so quickly goes south because you're dealing with feeding and with such small stomachs.
You have to know they've got to go potty every time they eat. Every time mom stimulates them to go potty, because if they don't know how to do it, their body doesn't automatically, and they get obviously constipated, and that becomes a whole nother issue. Some people don't know what to feed squirrels, so they start out with ground nuts and things, and that leads to something called MBD, metabolic bone disease, which can lead to all kinds of issues, including unfortunate outcomes. It is reversible, so there have been many times that we've been able to get a squirrel with MBD. It's calcium deficiency, really, and turn them around, but it does leave, damage from that point in their development. So if you don't have the tools and the experience, or even the first clue, please find somebody. Yeah, they're adorable and have around and hold when they're so cute, and when they're 2 months old and they behave like this and they're just getting fur and their eyes, it's a whole experience. I get it, but they can get hurt so fast at that age. Even at this age, there are folks that have non-releasable squirrels that have not had a proper diet, and at later points the squirrels get they have problems. So if you ever find one, the best thing to do is to find a rehabber, and if you have the means, please give them some kind of support, because by taking a baby in means that whatever resources they have at home are now stretched a little thinner. So everything helps. Whether you figure out how to get them a couple of syringes or anything, we're all doing this on our own. And there's definitely not a business model for success with it. This is all just because we find them close to us and people trust us with them to help them and release them back to nature. And that's what we try to do. So I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but if you get the opportunity, please help and donate, especially if you leave somebody with an animal. But if you can't, then don't. It's not the end of the world. They're definitely going to take it and do the best they would with any animal. And not all of us can do everything. I don't do anything but squirrels. Anybody else we get, any other animals we get, I pass them on to the pros. Pass them on to the raccoon whisperers and the possum whisperers and the other squirrel whisperers. And we had a deer once, and bats and birds, and there's a rehabber for everything. We've got a bird of prey facility nearby. Sometimes we work with the wildlife commissions of whatever our states are, because every one of them is different. And they're all bunkers. Okay, we've been at this almost an hour. And we were at this even before. If there's anybody still watching, thank you. And you're so small, I can reach everything. You rub the leg, rub the belly, rub the arms, some cheeks. Uh-oh. Somebody's mad out there. They're mad because they're not getting rubs like this. Girl, you got daddy sweating and everything. It is going to be in the 80s today, so don't worry about winter. In Florida, winter is usually not coming. So I hope you've enjoyed How to Hypnotize Your Squirrel. Don't worry. What are you going to do with the rest of your day? After starting out like this, I can't imagine what else I would want to do except lay down. Lay down in a nice breeze. to scare you, but I gotta get my hat off. And this momentary pause just goes to show. I get comments once in a while that say, "You're holding that squirrel down. You shouldn't force it to be there." I'm not even holding its tail. She doesn't appear like she is being held against her will. But I do appreciate all the comments and thumbs up and hearts and stuff like that. I don't know much about all this. I just thought it was a good way to share the smiles that I get out of these. And if you could share that, why wouldn't you? So I figured we should. Let's do it. Black legs back there. Yeah, her breathing is super slow. Her heart rate is super slow. She is in full Zen mode. So usually, even when you hold them, their breathing is rapid. Their heart rates are like a drum solo. But when they're really down like this, everything slows down. It's amazing too. Some squirrels in parts of the world that do hibernate, heavy sigh, that do hibernate, they get studied because their brain function gets so low it's similar to coma patients. Thanks for chiming in. It's similar to coma patients. And so scientists have been studying those type squirrels because when they come out of the hibernation, the squirrels do, out of that coma type state, the recovery of their brain function is amazing. Everything fires back up, everything goes back into line and online. And they're trying to figure out how it can be shut down to such a level and then fire back up without any damage or lingering effects or anything like that. So that's fascinating. I hope they're not hurting anybody, but the information you get from following nature is incredible. You just have to do it the right way. You can learn that just by watching them. This squirrel hasn't moved in days, weeks, months, and oh my goodness, is it okay? To all of a sudden, I'm up, I'm going, and I need food. It's okay. I'm just trying to get the sunshine out of her. Get the sunshine out of our way. I know, I didn't mean to wake you. What do you think? You want to lay back down? Hey, hello. My name's Ash. My superhero pose. Well, so much for getting all your engines fired up right away. You look like you're a little sluggish. I need to knock some of that stuff off the tires. No one can resist the brain mush. No one. Oh, are we going backwards now? Yeah, you did the other side. What about this side? This side's important too for proper balance. You have to rub them equally. You gonna help? Okay, here we go. You help. There you go. Get a rub down and a bath. Sorry, I was rubbing the wrong end. You can do both. I'm Super Squirrel, Chicken Man. We've been at this for almost an hour there, child. Almost an hour. You hear those other squirrels? You hear the wind over there? Feel like a James Bond villain. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to squirrel. wants you to lop over and fall. Is it my turn now? Oh, thank you. That's a good face mush. You got some sharp teeth there, little sharp tooth. Their front teeth never stop growing. I'm sure most of you are aware of that. So they need to constantly be chewing on something to gnaw it down, wear it down. And that was one of my first concerns was, well, when Peekaboo first came in, sorry, not to catch a second wind, but Peekaboo came in and she had that injury to her muzzle. They immediately took out the top 2 teeth and thought with trimming the bottom 2 should be okay. Well, they didn't grow in properly without the top 2 to align them. The bottom 2 started going wonky and I hated trimming them. Plus, something one of the doctors had mentioned to me made a lot of sense. When squirrels naturally wear down their teeth, it's not high impact. It's not, when you clip their teeth, there's a potential for fractures, even micro fractures, which could cause all kinds of issues down to the jawline. And if you have to do that, say every month, 6 weeks, there are folks that have to do that almost weekly, depending on the squirrel and growth, because their teeth grow significantly every day. So what the doctor was explaining is that when you're clipping their teeth like that, it's high impact. You don't know what fractures you're getting, which could, if it's top and bottom, now you're creating sinus fractures, you're creating jawline fractures, potentially. And that could lead to things like odontoma, which is a sinus issue that is very serious, and a lot of other things with it. And she explained it, like when you hit your hand on the counter, it's a wood counter. There's gonna be some give, although you think you just broke every finger in your hand. Now hit a metal countertop. There's no give, there's no repercussion, there's no recoil. And that's more substantial to create those kind of cracks and fissures and all those other things. So we decided, just beneficially, to take out her bottom teeth rather than try to continue to trim them and straighten them and all that other fun stuff. And then the potential future for dental, sinus, and more medical issues, it sort of one outweigh the other substantially. So, all right, I guess we're done. She's fully awake now. Don't even know where she... Oh, she's hiding from the ravens. They love that game. Hello. You good? It's okay, sweetie. The ravens aren't gonna get you. All right. We'll see you.